One of the aspects of this game platform is that you can subscribe to algorithmic trading strategies. These strategies are computerized algorithms that allow people to place buys on the market based on strictly statistical analysis that the algorithm computes. Before I get into how to subscribe to these algorithmic strategies, I want to go over like the major strategy that this platform uses, and that is based in sentiment analysis. Now, sentiment analysis allows us to categorize news stories. Like on the site, if you go to the Intel link, you'll see all this news that the platform is constantly sucking in 24/7, 365 days a year. Um, so we have all this sentiment data. Now, how we analyze the sentiment data is we break it down into what is scores based on whether it's negative, neutral, or positive. And how we do that is we use a large language model called Process AI's Finbert, which is a financial analysis large language model tuned to financial analysis. And this assigns a sentiment score based on its score towards negativity, neutrality, or positivity on a basis of 0.0 to 0.999 or something like that. Then what we do is we aggregate all these scores into a database. And what happens is we have a bunch of files that process all this information. Now, for strictly speaking, we have a sentiment trading strategy, and we have an earnings trading strategy, which is based off of sentiment trading strategy. What the sentiment trading strategy does is it is looking for, what we do is we find, we do some statistical analysis. And what this does is evens out all the scores so they can be compared to each other. And once we have these z-scores and scores of covariance and all these very technical terms you don't really need to know right now, is we look for a rate of change, which is like the rate of change is the angle of change or slope in a graph. And we're looking for sharp changes. Now, this is all done in the back end using Python. What we do is we fetch eligible symbols, then we get their stock prices, then we analyze their sentiment scores, then we put that into a database, then we analyze their price reactions over time. Like a rate of change spike of 3 standard deviations, which is a large spike, it's called an outlier, will trigger an analysis to see if the stock should be bought based on its profile. And that's what this file does, sentiment profile or batch outliers. It creates a profile based off of past price reactions to these sentiment spikes based off of rate of change, specifically in the positive label or the positive category of sentiment. Then once we have this profile, we put it to work in the sentiment trader, which fetches the latest sentiment data. examines what we mean by the latest sentiment, that the news cycle, the current news cycle. It's looking at the current news cycle, comparing it to the past news cycle and its behavior in past news cycles, looking for spikes, and if it finds a spike and it fits the profile, it'll place a paper trade. And that's specifically the sentiment rate of change strategy. Now, similar to that is the earnings trading strategy. The earnings trading strategy really follows the same template, but here what we're doing is we're looking for specifically something called EPS. One of the major events in stock trading is the release of earnings. So on those days, the news sentiment will either be positive, neutral, or negative. So we're looking for positive earnings results. People who beat the EPS and also who beat their sales and don't have negative comments in their earnings reports. And how this process works is we take a quick look using an earnings browser just to see what out there is actually interesting today. Once we have that, we build out a profile based again on past price reactions post earnings. And then you can classify those reactions as either momentum, that is, they're gainers, or fade, they go down, or sometimes they gain, sometimes they go down. We're looking for momentum. Those classified as momentum that beat on their earnings reports on EPS and sales. Then we feed these earnings profiles into the earnings trader, and it's going to place some trades based on a certain criteria, and there it screens for the momentum profile and checks the latest extreme positive sentiment, and it also checks if the sentiment volatility index for that symbol or ticker is too high. It does not place a trade because that's too much white noise and might be an artificial signal. So that's how this earnings pipeline works, and that's how the sentiment trading works. And once we understand that, then it makes understanding, what exactly you're subscribing to here make more sense. And in the next video, I will go through how to subscribe to strategies, and then you will have automatic trades being carried out and populated to your Alpaca account, and you will see them reflected in your positions and portfolio links.